So my name is Miguel Garcia, and today I'm going to be interviewing Kevin Charette. He's been one of my mentors. And Kevin, what do you do?
I am the morning forecaster for Channel 17.
Kevin, how did you get into TV?
Well, it's a long story, so sit back, grab a box of popcorn and a soda. I started my career right out of high school. I graduated in 1997, and I always knew I wanted to do something in television. In high school, I was announced basketball games, football games, so I was known as voice of the Monarchs, so I was the voice of our high school. So I knew I wanted to do something. So right out of high school, I went to a technical school. I had no ambition to be in front of the camera. From the start, I thought, let's take a career on the backside, camera operation, set design, stuff like that. So I went off to a technical school, it's an associate's degree program, and did that for 2 years. And I was about ready to graduate, and we had a newscast at the school, and they asked if I wanted to anchor it one day, and I said, me? You want me to anchor it? And they're like, yeah, we need somebody. So I stepped in, and it kind of changed my life. I was like, wow, this is such an avenue of importance, in our society where I get to educate people of the everyday events. But there was a problem. In order to go anywhere, I thought I need to have a bachelor's degree to go further in this. Just finished up my associates, so I started to do some research. Found out that my associate's degree program at the technical school would not transfer to a four-year college. And I was like, okay, now I'm in a pickle. Do I scrap everything that I've done for the last 2 years and start completely over? Or do I just have confidence and put a tape together? I was intern at King 5 in Seattle, the NBC station. My mentor said, Kevin, we have a lot of faith in what you do. You're putting together tapes here, and we think you can probably land a job without even going back to school. Their suggestion was graduate from the technical school and take a semester of journalism and meteorology. Again, I'm a young kid, take their advice. So I took meteorology and journalism. After I was done with those courses, I decided to put some tapes together and sent it out, and I landed my first job in Medford, Oregon. That was my first job.
That is a very unique story into how you got into television. But along that route, did you ever have any naysayers or people doubting you?
Yeah, I would have to say in my career, I had to work harder than most people in the television industry. They came in with bachelor's degrees, and I was very fortunate. I had to work 10 times harder, in my opinion, than a lot of reporters that enter the working world. I had to prove myself. I didn't have the degree, so I had to prove myself that I was worthy enough to be able to have a job like that. And I had people, my first job saying, I can't believe they hired Kevin. He doesn't even have a bachelor's degree. And I look back today and I'm like, look where I'm at today. Again, I had to prove myself, but I'm happy with the decisions I made in my career. And I tell kids all the time in high schools and middle school that if you put your mind to something, no matter if you get that degree, if I had to change it all over again, would I have done it back in the day and gone a different route? Yes, but that wasn't my path. So I took the path that I was given and I gave it 100%, and I would say that, I succeeded.
Absolutely. And, talk to me about, how should people respond when people doubt them? I mean, you kept fighting. I mean, what did it take to do that?
I tell kids all the time, listen to nobody except what's in your heart. Nobody else matters. Listen to what is in your heart. Have confidence that you can do something, and it will happen.
Years later, do you still feel as if you have that chip on your shoulder?
No. I've been in the television industry now almost 18, 19 years, and I think I've proven myself. I have nothing, to be ashamed of. I encourage people to get their bachelor's degree. It just wasn't a path that was there in front of me, and that's just how my career landed.
What was the best and the worst career decisions you've made?
I think the best career decision I ever made was listening to my mentors when I was an intern and letting them guide me and listening to their advice. And I knew I was going to have a difficult road, but again, I never let it stop me. And, I've been to big markets, I've been to small markets, I've been to medium markets, So I've been well-rounded in television, and so I don't regret anything on that. In terms of regrets, I think my biggest regret in my career is, I'll be honest with you, I don't really have one off the top of my head.
Hey, that's good, man. Hopefully, we keep it that way.
Yeah, I thought I might have one because I was going to go back to maybe the degree, but not really. I don't sit back and, if I had to do it all over again, maybe I would have done things differently. But I'm happy the way it turned out.
All right, that's good. Now, a lot of people don't know you off screen. I do. I know you're a very good, very caring person. Have one of the biggest hearts of all the people I've ever met. Now, your day starts at 3 a.m. and it's well past noon. But every time I go to an event, you're there judging, you're there emceeing, you've even started your own nonprofit. Why do you do it?
I got into television not for the fame, not for which, we joke all the time. You're like, oh, famous Kevin, famous Kevin. I didn't get into television to be recognized. I didn't get into television for that fame. I got into television because I knew that I could use maybe my personality of who I was to impact the community in which I live. So that's really the sole purpose in terms of when you say fame and local celebrity. I use that to do better for the community, and that's why, again, I started my own cancer nonprofit in 2014. I go to the different schools, I go judge, because I think that you have to be in the community to be vested in the community, you have to be a part of it in order to make it better.
Wow, I love it. Now, who does Kevin Charette look up to?
Wow. Who do I look up to? I'll be honest with you. I'm not an overly religious person, but I thank God every single day for all the great things that I have been given in my life. I'm not one of those people that goes to church every Sunday. When I lay my head on the pillow at night, I say my prayer to God and I thank Him for all the great things that He's given me in my life and all the great things that He allows me to give back to people. So I think that's probably the person I look up to most. I think God guides us every single day of our lives, and I think it's very important. So I'd probably say I'd give it to Him.
Awesome, I love that. Now, you do know you have an influence, and a lot of young kids look up to you. How does that make you feel?
It's rewarding. Again, I think that kids need structure. I think they need an outlet. And that's why I coach baseball. I've been coaching baseball here in Bakersfield for 13 years. And I have no kids. So I do it because I think there needs to be structure in a kid's life. They need something to do. And it's rewarding when they call you, 8 years later and they're in college and you see them in town today. Hey, Coach Kevin, the fact that you can do something in the community and they remember you for it, that's important.
Now, you're older now, you're wiser. You're not old, but you get what I'm saying. What would this Kevin, say to young Kevin in terms of advice?
I'll be honest with you. Two things. On a personal side, I would say, and I don't talk about it much, but I would say be true to who you really are. For the longest time, I hid who I really was, and it's probably been 8 years ago, I came out. And that was the hardest thing for me to ever do. I'm in the spotlight, I'm on television. What are people gonna say? We all know Bakersfield is a kind of a conservative town, and I'm a very private person. I'm not out, really talking about it much, but I think it's important for young people to believe in themselves and be who they are. I wasted almost 30 years of my life not being who I truly was, and I think that's important for teenagers and anybody. Be true to who you really are.
Wow, that is very powerful. And when you came out, how did you get the strength to do it, and how did it feel when you did it?
Well, I got the strength from my aunt, to be honest with you. She's one of my closest relatives. That was the first step, telling my parents. In terms of career, I was very scared. I thought, I was going to lose my job, to be honest with you. Once somebody found out, I thought I'd lose my job, and I worked so hard and loved what I was doing. That was my biggest fear. But as I started to open up a little bit, my bosses knew, and they told me, Kevin, be who you are. My current boss, my news director, he sat me down one day. He says, Kevin, we're in 2018. Be who you are. I've got your back. And that really meant a lot for me. And I think where it really, the egg really cracked open was on my wedding day in 2015. We had over 100 guests from Bakersfield attended, and that meant a lot to see that support. We were going to hide, not let people put on social media. It was like we were freaked out. And then we just sat back and said, you know what? I'm not going to put a sign outside that says don't post on social media. This is who we are. You want to be my friend? I know, like my mom said, you will find out who your true friends really are.
Now, one thing, you've inspired me a lot in my life, and I hope you do know that. You're the reason I started off on television. You got me my job, you believed in me, you vouched for me, and that means the world to me. But back in October, I was faced with an extremely difficult decision. I was an editor at 17. I loved my job, but I had an offer to move on to the current high school district. And when I asked you, I said, Kevin, what should I do? You told me, life is about stepping stones. There's one in front of you. Take it. Is that something you live by, or where'd you get that from?
No, I live by that. You know, you have to trust your gut. You have to trust, you have to trust God and the path that He's going to give you, really. We all second guess decisions. I mean, I've had it in my career with jobs or contracts or something like that. And you just have to trust your gut and go with it. Especially when you're young in a career, take every opportunity you possibly can, because you may not get that opportunity again. So that's what I tell all the young people. And I tell people in high school, you may go to college, you may have your mindset on one career, you get into it, and you may find out it's awful, it's okay. There are people that go through 1, 2, 3 different changes in life, and that's natural until you find the one that really you're comfortable with and you enjoy. There's nothing worse than going to a job you hate. You've got to enjoy what you are doing in life, or you're going to be miserable.
Kevin, what is your biggest achievement?
My biggest achievement is probably living life how I want to live it now. That's probably the biggest thing for me. I have no regrets. I'm comfortable in my life. I feel whole. I feel confident in who I am. So I think I'm at peace with what I'm doing in my career, how I'm living my life, and I love this community in which I live.
And we love you too, Kevin. What does the future hold for you?
For me? Well, this year's a big year for me. I turned 40. I'm feeling old. Not really. It's only in your mind. But 40 is a big year. I'll probably retire at Channel 17. I have no ambition to leave. I have a long-term contract with 17. I've loved the station ever since I stepped foot in it 13 years ago. I love their mission and what they do, and as long as the community doesn't call and say get them off the air, hopefully the station will keep me until I'm in my 70s.
So I'm sure they will, man. So my next question is, what's one message you want to get across?
One message I would probably want to get across is to every young person out there, just work hard in everything that you do. Never let anybody tell you can't do it. Be true to who you really are, and life will be golden.
What are your keys to success? What code do you live by?
Being thoughtful, being kind to others, not being judgmental. We live in this world together. Everybody, in my viewpoint, is equal. It doesn't matter if you're sitting here with me or there's a homeless man sleeping over in the bush over there. We need to all come together and be as one in this world, and unfortunately we don't see that very much these days, and it's sad to see. And I think when we can all look at each other as equals and we can come together as one big happy family in this world, man, we'd be really successful as a group.
Kevin, you're the man. Thank you very much.